Welcome to my apiary.
Well, I didn't do too good here today. I've been having trouble with the vaporizers, and I'm sure glad I'm finding out that they're being trouble now, because it's not critical that I treat these bees now. In another couple of weeks it will be. So I managed to get that whole row treated, and I don't know, maybe 6 or 8 on this row. So that's like 30. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I got probably I got 15 or 20 done with the Lorb. I used the Lorb all day yesterday and it seemed to be fine. It did seem to be a bit slow, so I'm not sure if that's related, but today I got maybe 15 in, and it just stopped heating. The displays look completely normal, although the current temperature display just kept going down and down and down and down, and it wouldn't heat up. So I pressed the Provap into service, and it performed well. I think it did start to leak after a while, but I think the Permatex 2 gasket sealer, gasket maker, it's kind of like an RTV, it's just in a tube, seemed to help a lot. And so I did quite a few, finished off that row, and then did quite a few of these with the Provap. So it was working probably 3 times as fast as the Lorb was working. So there's something wrong with that Lorb. It's a better unit than that. So anyway, but the Provap is still a little bit leaky. Maybe I just have to put up with it. It seems to be still vaporizing the bees. So yeah, I have to just put up with some of that. The Lorb isn't very old. I've only used it about a year, and the Provap's got a lot of miles on it. It doesn't owe me anything if I have to replace it. I don't want to replace it. It's big money, but you know, in context, if you're treating with Apivar, if I'm treating with Apivar, 1 round of Apivar is about 1.5 times as much money as 1 Provap vaporizer costs, brand new. So I could buy myself a brand new Provap every fall and still be saving about $300 on over treating with Apivar. But I have no intention of treating with Apivar, so that's really not a good comparison, because I need a vaporizer, and I need one that works, and I need one that works reliably, and that's not really what I'm finding. And I don't know if just buying a new unit is what's required. Buying some new parts. I know you can buy parts for the Provaps, the Lorbs too, but I could buy a new bowl and stuff for the Provap. Maybe that would fix up the leaking problem. Maybe that's what's required. They're pretty expensive parts, that's all, but a lot less than buying a new unit. So I'm shutting it down for today. I didn't get much done, but... So I'm once again servicing my old Provap, and I can't complain about this thing. I've had it break the cord once, and I've had to fix that, and I've broken a tube off a couple times. It's not really the fault of the machine, although that tube is kind of a weak link. I've got it wrapped up with this insulating, it's not a tape, it's just a strip of fabric to keep it warm in the cool weather. It really helps it recover heat and cycle a lot faster. So the problem is, I can't point it out with one hand, but that bottom thing and the bowl is 2 pieces, and it has to seal at around the circumference of that bottom plate, and it's leaking. So you can see all the oxalic acid that's crystallized on the outside of it here. Boy, you don't want to touch that. That'll burn you. You can't even touch it because you start coughing right away, because it just gets to be a fine dust in the air. So fortunately, oxalic acid dissolves readily in water, and this thing will stand a bit of water. Not submersion, but I'm just going to spray it off with my sprayer. I come over my giant sink here, and I don't know if I want to do it one-handed, but this is what I'm going to do. Just Gotta wash that off really good so that then I can take it all apart and hopefully effect a repair. Okay, got the Provap washed and that wrap off of it. Now, you may think you can see the junction between those two pieces, but what you're seeing is the ring around the outside and then the base. You have to take that off to see what's actually leaking, because this is the heating element, this outside part. And I did this last week or so, and all I had on hand was, this is a Permatex product, number 2 gasket sealant, and the upper temperature range of this stuff is not quite as high as this Provap runs. I think it was 250 C or something like that. So I stopped by my auto parts store today, and I got another Permatex product, and you can see that it tops out at 371 C. So that's definitely well over 100 degrees hotter than this Provap runs. So hopefully this will do it. So I'll take some screws out. I have to take these 2 Allen screws out, and then that heating element comes right off of there. Okay, so try to work one-handed, with left hand nonetheless. And so I've got these 2, those are 4mm Allen head screws. I've got them out of there. Now this would just come right off of there as an assembly, but that doesn't really help me see the issue. So I have to spread that a little and get that heating band to come up. It's a little bit mushroomed here at the top, so you need to spread it out a little bit. Get it to come right off of there. Okay, so I gotta put the camera down, but I can show you now. You see where these 2 pieces meet? I think there's a little, yeah, I can feel it. There's a tiny tweak in the bowl right here, and that's leaking right there. So that I just twisted that. It's just a friction fit there, and you can actually see that tweak now right there in the bowl. I don't know why that happened, whether it was just from usage or it was from repairing the tube. You can see that my Provap tube comes straight out. It's very crimped there, isn't it? Instead of going down and then out the bottom. It doesn't need to do that. They just do that so that if you're vaporizing from a bottom board, then it fits in there better. I don't do that, so out the top is better. The tube can be shorter. It doesn't even have to be this long. I could cut it off probably about there. And anyway, the problem is it leaks, and I have to try to do something with that. I don't know if a gasket maker is the right thing or not. Fortunately, a number of years ago, my darling wife bought me a Dremel, and so I can use that to clean things up. A little wire brush there, and so I'm going to clean everything really good, and then we'll go from there. We'll probably end up permatexing the thing. My local bee supply guy, he actually brought in a bowl for me. Actually, I think he bought more than one, but he just received that. He's an hour drive from here. If I can make this work, I will, and I'll buy the one that he brought in for me and put it on the shelf for repair parts for later. They're like $75, so it's not a cheap thing. And so anyway, I'm going to clean this up a bit. Okay, I have cleaned that all up real nice, and I've cleaned this part all nice. Well, it's pretty good. I grabbed a needle nose plier, and I very gently tried to bring this back into shape, and I can feel that it's 100% better. But I still think I want sealant on there because it's really not very tight. See, I don't know how tight that should be. I think it was pretty tight the first time I took it apart. I've had this apart so many times. So I think what I want to do is I want to put some of the ultra copper gasket maker from Permatex in there, and then I'm also going to run a bead inside along here. Now I don't know, because the heater band wraps around this part, and you might assume from that the oxalic acid vaporizes off of the bottom part. We need heat conduction from the copper bowl to whatever this is made of. It almost looks like aluminum, but I'm not sure it is. I should get a magnet. So I don't know that I want to get a lot of gasket material on this mating surface. So hence the bead on the inside, if I can seal that junction there. Give that a go. Okay, there we have it. We have a bead on the mating surface, and I have a bead around the inside. We'll see. I'm gonna let it set overnight before I put the heating band, because if you put the heating band on, it's gonna rock that around a bit, and it might just, not help at all. So again, that's Permatex Ultra Copper. I'll let you know if it works, if it actually seals that up. If not, I'm going to have to take that off, clean it all up, and just put a new bowl on it, I guess. I just quickly brought my Provap out here. I don't have time today to do a lot of oxalic acid vapor, but I want to see if my high temperature gasket sealant product that I put on that bowl will seal up the bowl and keep it sealed for a number of treatments. I just get out here and it seems like it's going to rain, so this test might be cut pretty short. I didn't bring my respirator. It's over there, but I'm hoping that maybe the wind will help protect me from my own stupidity. I preach against that, but I'm hoping that I can get away with it. You may have seen me on my colonies that I treat. I have a little hole in the side where I stick the tube, and that works really great for me, except my 3-way pallets here, I can't do that for the center one, so I've made a hole in the little block on the back here. That seems to work pretty good. She's up to 243, so that's set to 230. It always overshoots temperature. Hold my breath. The temperature on the Provap always dips down really low. Lower if I don't have it wrapped. I didn't put the insulating wrap around it again until I know that it's going to work well. I decided to stop being an idiot. I needed that glove, and I got my respirator, and more importantly, face mask. If that tube gets blocked and the lid blows off, it'll blind you. And it's at 222. Usually by the time it gets to 220, the eye is burned off. This is where it would be leaking right here. There's no leaking yet. I'll be able to see the gasket material I put in there. starts to blow off about 205, 210, and then by the time it gets to 220, it's done. So it's pretty well done there. Working pretty fast. Once it gets down about 5C, then I need to insulate the thing. It just takes forever to recover. This is one of the early ones. It's only got a 250 watt heater on it. So it definitely takes longer to recover than some of the later models. I think they're up to 380 or something, which is, you know, percentages wise, it's way bigger. I've been using this hole in the box method for a number of years now, and I think it's very, very effective. Extremely easy. The fact there's a hole there means I don't have to sit and hold the unit at the entrance. I don't need to get down quite as far, especially after I move my bees back home and I stack them up. Once the pails are gone, half my colonies I'm only treating this low or this high. It blows the vapor in behind the frames and it wafts in through the colony. The first year I did it, I thought I would drill a hole straight in the back in the center, and I did, but I didn't really think about it. After I did my treatments, I noticed that the center frames, the comb had a strip melted off the frames in the middle, and I thought, well, that's probably not a good idea, because my queen could be there, and even just the bees, probably kill a lot of bees. So then I thought about it a little, and I put it along the back. Uh-oh. That's not good. It came right out of there. Okay. Okay. So my gasket material has compromised the ability of that bowl to stay on there. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong, but it wasn't leaking before it fell out of there. I guess I'm done for today. You got any ideas what I'm doing wrong? Like, how does that stay on there? Unplug it. The gasket's definitely compromised. Does that ring have to go farther up? Because as I've got it, the ring is clamping on the base. Perhaps that's incorrect. If the ring clamps on only the bowl, then it'll squeeze the bowl tighter to the base. I think I gotta change that. I'll let it cool, change that. You saw the thing fall apart, and it's kind of what I wanted to know. I don't know if I can touch it yet. No, I can't. It's hot. So what I'm wondering is why it fell apart is this clamp. This clamp is what holds it all together, and it's also the heating band. Should it be higher, pushed up on the bowl, because it's clamping on the base perhaps more than it's clamping on the bowl. And because I added gasket material, it's doesn't have that friction, metal to metal friction. Maybe I need to take off most of that gasket material and just put it around the front where that little tweak is in the bowl, to seal that up so that it has better grip on that bowl. Take it back in the shop and make some more adjustments, see if we can get it going. I'm not blaming Provap at all for this. I think this all may stem from my breaking of that tube, because that had to be taken and repaired, and I can't remember if the guy actually clamped it in his vise or grabbed that with a vice grip or something like that. I'm not saying he did, but that's all it would take to just kind of tweak that bottom rim. And I've since learned that the smooth and circular nature of that bowl is critical, because it's just a friction fit onto that base. This is exactly why I come out here today, because I'm not yet critical on getting these done. Another 4 days. By the time I get to the weekend, then I'm going to be pretty anxious to get these oxalic acid treatments done, because I want to do at least 3. I'd like to do 4, but I need to do at least 3 in my opinion. So that's I learned something, and that's why I'm starting early and getting this rolling, so I have time to fix things. Being as stubborn as I am, I'm not ready to give up on the old bowl. This is a 4mm Allen screw, I call it. Hollow head screw. I've seen it referred to as socket screw. I'll show you what happened, and then I'll show you what I have planned to hopefully alleviate the problem. Okay, I'm going to get rid of this again. Okay, so I put my gasket material in here. As you can see, there's gasket material everywhere. And yeah, maybe I didn't do it right or do a very good job, but it kind of just over time, and not very much time, it just kind of came off. Because this is the kind of gasket material that doesn't harden. I can feel it. It's not sticky, it's not wet, but it's definitely not crusty. So the situation here is this bowl fits on the base of friction, and right now it's not very tight. Let's see what the new one feels like on there. That's definitely tighter. That's definitely tighter. Even at that though, It doesn't look like it's completely perfectly round. A little bit of a flat spot there, I think. So what I'm thinking with this, the heating element is the clamp that holds all this together. And I had the heating element clamp down farther on this thing. I think maybe a better design would be if there wasn't as much of a lip here, so that when you clamp on the copper bowl, it'll actually squeeze it better. The problem here is the clamp comes tight around the base and is not allowed to give you as much clamping force on the bowl. If I hold this right up to the top here, you can see that it still intersects that base. So I can't even move it up high enough to clear the base and clamp only on the bowl. I mean, maybe that won't work either. I think I've pinched the tube. It still works, but probably shouldn't pinch the tube like that. So what I had planned is to move that up a little and clean off all of my gasket material, and then put some gasket material just on the front here where it seems to leak the worst, so that then I still have a metal to metal surface here to give me a far better friction fit, because obviously that's what it relies on to stay together. So first job is to once again employ a gift from my generous wife, the Dremel. Clean this up. Okay, so the cleaning on the outside of the bowl, cleaning on the inside of the heater band is only to give it better thermal conductivity, because that's the real important part. And again, this heating band almost exclusively heats this ring. Okay, but your oxalic acid crystals are sitting on this base. So that's why I've noticed from the beginning of using this that there's a huge disparity between what the display says the temperature is and what's actually happening in the bowl. And I'm convinced that that's because this thing is constructed that way, that this heats this copper ring, and the copper ring then needs to heat the base to melt and vaporize the crystals. Is that the best way to do it? I don't know. I'm not the manufacturer. I'm not the engineer. I'm not an engineer at all. So I'll clean my gasket material off the base. I don't imagine that a buildup of gasket material here is going to do any good at all. I'm still not convinced what that base is actually composed of. It's not magnetic, that's all I know. I don't know if it's billet aluminum or something else. It's probably, for the price you pay for this, it's probably pure silver. I don't know. Boy, they don't give these things away. Hence my going through all the trouble I go through to resurrect this. So I'm just going to put gasket sealer on the front there, because that's where I perceive the irregularity is in the bowl. And that theory is supported by where it leaks. When I put it in there, it comes shooting out the front and it drips down the it drips down the side of the box. I like to put it on both sides. It's kind of a contact cement theory. It's not like contact cement, but it's kind of a contact cement theory. If I smear it on that surface, I get good coverage. If I smear it on this surface, I get good coverage. And then when I put the two surfaces together, it's like material, so it just melds together real nice. I do that sometimes when I'm gluing a wood project in a blind, like a tenon, for example. You put a tenon in a mortise. Tenon goes in the mortise, so I'll glue the mortise and I'll glue the tenon. So now I have good glue adhesion, good glue coverage on both parts. I'm not relying on the other part to impart glue to the other surface. That's just my theories.
The time is 2 p.m.
Thank you very much. I want to get this nice and straight. And I'm also going to put a bead on the inside like I did before. This product is supposed to put up with this much heat just fine, so, you know, but maybe I was saying, you know, the disparity between what this display says and what's happening in the bowl. Maybe this thing is getting, you know, I think it's set at 240 C. Maybe this thing is getting up to, you know, way over 300 C to make that happen. See, here's a problem. Because I've modified this, if I raise that, my top screw interferes with the tube. So to get that screw in, I'm now pushing that ring down at this bottom. Maybe I can drill a new hole. I hope that's okay. Drill a hole in this thing. I think it probably is. I won't drill that hole now. I'm going to clamp this nice and tight. And actually the instructions say don't clamp it tight, let it set, then clamp it tight. We'll leave it loose a little bit. And that's another day, right? So you can kind of see how much that ring overlaps the base as a minimum. Not focusing very well, but not much. I would say, boy, 3/16, not even eighth. No, not even an eighth. More than a 16th, perhaps. Okay, well, like I say, now we're into another day with this. But we have this as a backup. That should work. If all of this fails, that should work. So I went out and tested the Provap and the Lorab vaporizers yesterday, and I had sufficient problems. I'm continuing to have a problem with the Provap, although it wasn't leaking until the tube plugged. I'm having trouble. Both of them had problems with the tube plugging. So I had a lot of problems with the Lorab and the Provap with the tube plugging. But so the tube plugged and blew the bowl right off the base again. The Lorab has the bowl is one piece. It's a one-piece copper bowl, which is, I think, superior to this system. And the light bulb came on this morning, and part of my problem is I don't have a new one of these to kind of remind me of how the manufacturer put it together. I've been trying to make the bowl, the copper bowl, tighten up on the base with the clamp here, and it occurred to me that perhaps this bolt is supposed to clamp on the base, and then this bolt, which is not there because it's on where the tube is supposed to clamp on the bowl, thus holding them together. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to try to not have to put more gasket sealer in it, because that uses up another day. So I'll do that, and we'll see if it leaks real bad. If it leaks real bad, I'll come back and I'll put more sealer on there, and then we'll just move this ring down onto here, so that maybe my theory is going to work. So here we go again. As we learned last time, Provap uses a 4mm Allen key, and the Lorab uses a 5. Basically, I just have to loosen this on the Provap. Loosen it quite a little bit, make it easy. The bowl is well seated on the base. There's not a problem there. And I'll push this right down. As I push it down, though, you see I put some tape on here. As I push it down, this wire thing really bottoms out, and I'm not too crazy about that. I don't understand everything about these systems, how they work. But I'm going to push that right down as far as I can, pretty much. Tighten that up again. And that should tighten the clamp on the base. I hope. I could put some material around that base, you know, to effectively make it larger. But this is pretty tight. However, the clamp does bottom out against itself. So Provap uses a 4 there as well, which is handy. Tighten that up. Boy, those have to be tight. They start swinging around, and that's just the worst. I can move that a little on the base, but I think I'm okay. Now, I've still got my other fastener here. Get that in there. I'm surprised how, you know, I was looking at that the other day when I took it off. These things put up with extreme heat, very high temperatures, and very high temperatures make fasteners rusty and not work very well. And you know, that nut and bolt combination just turns through there as if it was brand new. So that's the mark of a quality fastener, in my opinion. One of the marks. And good on them for using quality fasteners, because God knows you need to fix these things often enough. Pain in the ass. Now it's also pretty tight on the bowl, so I don't think I'm gonna go crazy with that, because as I tighten this one, that pinches my tube. So we'll try that. I'm just going to go with that. One thing I need is a better system for cleaning out that tube. I need a fairly small thing that's quite strong so I can push it through. I know Bob uses he says he uses a bicycle brake cable. That's flexible, but you know, it's got a little bit of texture to it, so it might be just the tool. I don't have anything like that on hand. Well, here goes the test. The OAVs on the left and the Provap on the right. They seem to be working so far, but it's only the first treatment for each. One thing I really learned to hate about the OAVs is that little short cord. It's so stiff that it makes it really hard to make the vaporizer sit there by itself. So that's a real downside in my usage of it. On the other hand, the Provap has a much longer and less stiff cord, and it broke internally. Last year I had to fix it, so there's that. Well, I'll just keep going here. I'll let you know what happens. As mentioned, the bowl on this one is tweaked a little tiny bit at the front, and it leaks pretty bad out there. So I've got it working pretty good. It works for quite a while, doesn't leak, and then it starts leaking. And I say quite a while. Let's put that into context. Maybe 50 treatments, and then it'll start spitting out the bottom. And when it starts spitting out the bottom, then there's not as much pressure here, so it starts to clog really bad, and you know, it's just a bad deal. So I'm just going to change that out right now because I really need this thing to go. Okay, you've seen this before. I could probably do this with my eyes closed now. I'm kind of tired today, so I might have to. $4mm hex key. Robbie stepped it up. Theirs comes apart with a 5mm. They had to one up the Provap just to show you that they're a little bit better. The Robbie's has one clamp bolt, whereas the Provap has two. So I guess, you know, Provap still has more clamping capability. I don't think it's a competition, really. I'm just funning. All right, so see if we can get this off. This bowl just slips off the base. I can see it's pushed back already. Get that off of there. I'm going to set that one aside, and I'll put the new one on. This is looking pretty good, which it shouldn't. I put that sealant on there. I've got my Dremel right here, so I'll clean that a little bit. That little wheel is very mild. There's no way it's taking material off. I will say, they need to stick to their knitting, because I owned a Dremel scroll saw one time. I got used at an estate sale, and it was absolutely horrible. Just horrible unit. I couldn't wait to get rid of it. Okay, on with the new bowl. Try and get it on there straight so I don't bend it. I'm not off to a good start. That's tight. Wow, that's tight. It's no wonder I didn't realize that it was two pieces when I first took it apart a couple of years ago. All right. Things aren't hard to work on once you kind of figure out how they're put together. the key is when I bring it in the night before to let it cool and get repaired the next morning, is wash it really good. To wash all the oxalic acid off of it. See, that's kind of the bolt. The bolt has to go up and over this tube because the tube goes down there, which is not necessary in my case, but the simple fact is that it is so. It looks like Ian bought a second one of these. I didn't realize he had. I might be buying another one too. The Robbie's one seems to have too many design flaws. I mean, having something that breaks down like this because I break the tube off and then I have trouble, that's one thing. To have the thing quit working just because it's, you know, I have a hard time saying anything negative about the Robbie's because Rob is such a great guy. I really like Rob. But I want to be fair to you too. I don't want to blow a bunch of sunshine up, you know, Robbie's backside just because I think he's a nice guy. I've lost confidence in it. To have the heating band blow out in like 50, or no, there's a few hundred treatment cycles, and have the heating band blow out. That's not right. That should not happen. And the washers on the bottom of the unit, when I got it brand new, I used it maybe once or twice. Oh, it was maybe more than that. It was less than 10 times, I think, less than 10 cycles. And the whole bowl thing just started falling off it. So that was, and he had a change up, you know. So that was definitely an admitted design flaw. Okay. Now we're back to bottom tube style. We'll see how that works out. Off to the bee yard. Well, I got all the nukes treated today. Of course, yesterday I treated all of the singles. I'll definitely be buying another Provap for next season. Because although I've had some trouble, I had a little leaking issue, and that's because I kind of misused it with the way I bent the tube and tried to repair it and everything like that. So I put that new bowl on it today, and it worked beautifully. It was fast. It was, well, I wouldn't say it was really fast, but it's a pretty low wattage unit. It's 250 watts, which I know the new ones are higher wattage. So I'll be buying a new Provap soon, and it'll be interesting to see how fast it is. If it's any faster than the 250 watt by a reasonable margin. It'd be interesting to see. Okay, so that's around, I don't know, that's round 2, I think, of OAV. It's Friday, and I'm hoping, weather permitting, I can start another round on Monday. That's 4 days. That's kind of minimum interval, I feel. So I'll try to get that started on Monday, and I'll let you know what happens to that Laura unit. I'm tempted to rip out Monday morning to the bee supply and get another Provap, because treating these one at a time is really, really slow. I need to get 2 units on these. I am standing around most of the time, and it's really frustrating. So we'll see. I might just do that, run out Monday morning and get a new Provap from my bee supply guy. All right, so I'm leaving it at that for now, and gonna go out to dinner with my wife and Have a great weekend. Have fun. Thanks for watching.